If you're sitting Virasana, adjust your buttock bones back. Those of us that are sitting in this cross-legged Sukhasana, roll the thighs out. So you can feel your sitting bones, and then press your fingers into the floor. Point your elbow tips back and lengthen up the side of your trunk. And close your eyes and take your hands to your lap. Just take a few minutes to drop in here. Loosen up any tension around your neck and your shoulders. So the shoulder blades, let the shoulder blades descend down your back and the back of your arm from your shoulder to the tip of your elbow. Release it down. And meanwhile, the sides of the rib cage right up into your armpit. Lengthen the side of the rib cage up. So there's a softening in the armpit itself, as if there were a small balloon in the armpit. That buoyancy and spreading at the roof of your armpit. It's not a pinching as you drop the back of the arm down. That lift and spread. Take a few deep breaths into your upper chest. Feel that breath move slowly and fully. Just touching each part of the inner side of your rib cage. Slow down the last two breaths. Let the mind be drawn fully into this final breath. And join your hands together at your chest. You can take a silent Om or join me for one. Take a deep breath in. And lower your hands. Switch the cross of your legs. Interlace your fingers, press through the roots of the fingers and stretch your arms up. So whole rib cage now, lift up. Take the arms back. Straighten your elbows completely. And lower your arms down, switch the cross. Lift and lengthen. You keep the sides of the neck soft by moving the sides of the neck back. And release your arms. This time, two palms face each other. Stretch your arms up one more time. And then take your right hand down to the right and side bend to the right. Reach through the left fingers. You turn your rib cage from your right side to your left side and stretch through the fingers. And press down through the right hand. Take your two hands down. And stretch your two arms up again. And lower your left side. And open up the right rib, stretch through your fingers. And come back up to center. We're going to add the neck this time. Inhale, two arms up. Exhale, right side, drop your hand. Bend your elbow. If you're bending your elbow, point it towards your hip. Now let's drop the head this time to your right shoulder. Just let it go. So we're going to keep the head heavy and stretch your left arm back and to the left. Lift up your left earlobe. Stretch the left fingertips away from the earlobe until you get a nice opening along the side of your neck. And direct a breath there to the very top vertebra, right up under your collarbones. And two hands back down again. Sweep two arms up through center. Let's do that second side. And left arm, take it down. Reach through the right fingers. Drop your head. And then keep the head heavy. Left earlobe toward left shoulder. You can bend your elbow if you want, and stretch the arm back to the right. So the more your fingernails and your earlobes move away from each other, then the nicer, the deeper the opening in the side of the neck. Lift the earlobe up and away toward the ceiling. So you can find that deeper stretch. Take a breath into into the side of your neck. And two hands back down. Place your hands on your lap. And let the head just float up. We just did a big neck stretch. Notice if there's any lightness that can come to the head. And release, stretch your legs out. And then cross your legs, come into a downward facing dog. We're going to go slowly into it. You can curl your toes under and take some time pumping your legs out to a straight leg position. Just opening up the legs, let your hips shift. It's easy, organic movement. And then walk both your feet forward. Stand in an Uttanasana with your feet at least hip width apart. Take the fingertips down onto the floor or to those blocks. And look forward. Spin the inner arm forward. Press the top of your thigh. Firm it back. And let's forward bend. Drop your head. Now in this forward bend, this Uttanasana, we're going to do a few more of those knee bends. So bend your right knee and sink your left heel. Straighten out your left leg. So let that right hip, the knee's bending, let the right hip just drop down in the direction of the floor. And then straighten out your right leg, bend your left hip, just let it drop. Bend your knee. And straighten both legs. Take the two hands onto the floor, step back, downward facing dog, this time with the feet together. And come forward into a plank pose. Now let's see if we can lower all the way down onto the belly and the chest at the same time. You can put your knees on the floor for sure. Bend your elbows, move the chest forward, lower all the way down. Take the two forearms on the floor, elbows, position them right underneath your shoulders and pull back with the forearms. Move the chest forward. So when you pull back with your forearms, see if you can stretch the skin in your abdomen. So we're going to turn, it'll be onto your left arm. Roll all the way onto your side. Okay, so press the left forearm into the floor. Pull your left shoulder away from your ear. Raise up that right arm. Dig the side of the foot into the floor, your left side, and lift up your hips. And lower your hips. So if it feels like your arm is too far away, you can bend your knees a little bit. Let's dig very strongly the left side of the foot into the floor and lift the hips. And pull left shoulder away from your ear and lower your hips. And one more time, lift up. Just really squeeze that left hip toward the right hip and lower all the way down again. Good, come back onto your forearms. Pull back on the sticky mat. Move the collarbone forward and your chest forward. Lengthen as you lower and take your hands all the way beside your rib cage, so your lower ribs, your waist. Pull back with your hands. Raise your legs up, raise your chest up. So really keep pulling back with the hands, that same action. Reach back through the tips of your elbows so the skin in the back of the shoulder reaches back. Spread the back of the knee, open it up. And roll onto your other side, your right side. Press the forearm down and grip your feet and raise up your top arm and lift up. So often the hips want to just drop. See if you can squeeze that bottom rib to the top rib and lower all the way back down again. So you might need, I had to creep my feet in a little bit there and lift up again. And press the outer foot into the floor. Stretch through your top arm. Pull that right shoulder blade down away from your ear and lower down. And one more time, lift up. And lower down. Roll back onto your belly. Come back onto your forearms. Pull on the mat. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, lengthen as you lower. Take your hands beside your ribs. Pull back on the mat. Inhale, raise up your chest and your legs. And stretch back through your legs. And lower all the way back down. Come back onto your left forearm. So before we were working with the forearm parallel to the floor, parallel to the short edge of the mat. This time walk your fingers toward the corner of the mat. So I'm just turning, it'll be your left arm. I'm just turning the left arm out. Draw your shoulder away from your ear. And reach towards your right foot. And raise up the right foot and really try to touch it. And press your hand into your mat so you should feel a real strong squeeze right along this band, the oblique muscles. And lower down. And again, lift and reach. And lower Try not to do it with your neck, do it with your waist. And lift and reach, try to touch. So let's kick that back heel up to the ceiling just a little bit more rather than the pinky toe. And stretch your toes away from your arm, and your arm reach it. Strong reach. And lower all the way back down onto your tummy. Pull back on the forearms. And move the collarbone and chest forward. So if you want to add a little lift of the elbows, go for it. Just make sure you're still pulling back on the mat. And lower all the way down. Take your hands beside your ribs. Pull back. Reach to the tip of your elbow. Raise up your legs. Raise up your chest. Spread open the back of your knee. Charge your legs. Pull back with your hands. And lower all the way down. Roll onto your right side. So again, step the fingers out towards the corner of your mat. And draw the shoulder blade, right shoulder blade down away from your ears. And then reach through your left hand and raise up your leg and try to touch. So look back at your foot. Are your toes pointing up? Take the heel up. It's going to keep the hips stacked. So outer foot, line it up with the ceiling. Reach through your fingertips and lower down. And again, lift up your leg and reach. So really feel this, it's a squeezing of the top ribs. And lower down. And lift. The muscles right around those top ribs are called the oblique muscles. Keep that right shoulder pulling down. Really stretch through your fingers. Lift up your heel a little more. Charge your leg. And lower down. Come up onto your forearms. And inhale. Let's get a little elbow raise here. Keep pulling back on the mat. And exhale. Lower all the way back down. Take your hands beside your ribs. And inhale, raise up your legs and stretch your knees and charge your legs. So the inner heel, reach it back. Open the back of your knee, friends. Lift the inner knee to the ceiling. Try to touch the ceiling. And lower all the way down. Roll onto your left side and turn the fingers out. Okay, so this is gonna get a little harder. So this finger turned out position. Keep your outer shoulder rolling down away from your ears. Reach towards your right foot and raise up your right leg and try to touch. This is the variation we did before. You can stay here. Otherwise, press your left hand down and reach and really try to touch it. So without letting that hip roll back. And lower down. And lift and reach and touch. Squeeze the side of your waist. And lower down. And one more time, lift and reach, get the heel higher, stretch your leg away, try to touch. Last chance to touch that right foot, and lower down. Roll right back onto your belly. And pull back on the mat. And lift up your elbows any degree. And lengthen the front of your abdomen. And lower all the way back down. Slide your hands beside your ribs. Spread the backs of your knees and lift. So let's get the shoulders as far away from the ears. The elbow tips, reach back, pull back on the mat, open up your knees, charge your legs, and lower down. Roll onto that right side. Turn the fingers out. Draw the shoulders away from the ear. And reach for your left foot. And raise up your foot. This is a good place to stay. So watch that the pinky doesn't lift. Lift from your heel. And maybe lift your elbow and reach. Try to touch. And lower down. And again, lift and reach. And lower. Let the breath be smooth and deep, even as you lift and reach. So heel up. Try to touch it. This is the last chance. Reach with your left fingers to touch that heel. Reach. And lower down. And come back onto your belly. And press the forearms down. And raise up your chest. And pull yourself forward, lower down. Take your hands beside your ribs. And raise up your legs. And lower down. Let's push back into a downward facing dog. And again, pedal at your feet. Just let your hips shift. Make it easy. And drop down onto your knees. Okay, so let's take the two forearms on the floor and push back into a forearm dog. So walk your fingers a little wider than those elbows. Then your forearm dog, step your feet forward. Lift your hips high, firm your legs, press the wrist into the floor. So if this is hard on your shoulders, we're going to skip part of this next sequence. If it's hard on your shoulders, your shape is going to look more like this, with the knees down. Otherwise, lift up your hips and direct a deep breath right into your armpit chest. And drop down onto your knees. Okay, so let's try the transition in this next sequence. Let's try it. I want you to modify if you need to. So we're going to go from that forearm dog, where the feet come forward, and then we'll step the feet back. Step the feet together. You're going to pivot your left forearm and raise up your right. And then we're going to pivot that left forearm and pike the hips up. We'll just go back and forth like that a few rounds. Let's give it a go. So the pivoting of the elbow can sometimes be the hardest part. Let's start in this forearm dog and walk your feet forward. And then step your feet back. And left elbow pivot as you come forward so that your forearm is in line with the short edge of your mat. And roll onto the outer foot. We're stacking the feet. And reach up through the fingers. Good. So this is one where you can always have that bottom knee down like I'm showing. It's perfect. And then come back into a forearm dog. And pike your hips up nice and high. Right on. Walk your feet forward. And then step your feet back down again. Back. And then we're going to pivot onto that right forearm. And roll onto the outer right foot. Or right knee. Remember, this is an option. And come on back to center. Forearms down, pike your hips up, walk your feet in. And one more time, step your feet back. Feet all the way together. Come forward into that forearm plank. Pivot your left forearm, raise up your right arm. Now squeeze your left hip to your right hip. Try to touch the sky with that right hip. And come back, let's finish up that second side. Walk the feet in, pike the hips up high. Walk your feet out. Feet, squeeze feet together. Left forearm roll. And reach up. And two hands back down. And again, walk your hips. Feet forward, hips high. And drop down onto your knees. Stretch the arms forward. Take a child's pose here. And keep the arms engaged. We just did a big armpit opening. Keep the arms engaged. The elbows straight. The armpits spread. And then walk your two hands back. So we're going to lift up the hips a little bit. Slide your left arm underneath your right. Your left shoulder, place it where your right hand is. Adjust your right hand. And use your right hand to roll the left shoulder. To roll that left shoulder under and to roll the right shoulder over. So when you press the back of your left hand, pressing the back hand is going to help to turn your abdomen, to turn your torso, to turn all of those ribs. Take a deep breath into the places that get a little sticky here. And come on back to center. And let's slide now that right arm under. So if you just think of putting your shoulder where your left hand is, then we can get that deeper rotation. Left shoulder, take it back. And press your fingernails into the floor. Add some breath here. And then come back up. One more downward facing dog, just to pedal at the feet and shift the hips to create those nice mobility of the spine. And come all the way up to stand. Stand in Uttanasana. Forward bend. Come on all the way up to stand. So let's turn on the mat with the legs wide. And pivot your right leg out, left foot in. You're coming right into Trikonasana. Stretch back through your left arm. Then come in, Utthita Trikonasana. So of course you can use your block underneath your hand. So I'm just going to show this in a different configuration. So Trikonasana, sometimes I see this. Look at what I'm doing with my hip. See how the hip is way back from the alignment of my shoulder? So when you're in triangle pose, think of having your back on the wall. Just imagine your back is on the wall. So feel where you are contacting that imaginary block. So if you take your block to the outside of your foot, a little easier to do that than the inside. Yes. So the lower back ribs on that right side, your right kidney. Can you fill that out with breath? Bit of a long hold here. Stay, enjoy. Press the big toe mound with that right foot and draw the left hip away from your right foot. And pull, come all the way up. Take your block with you if you're using it. Let's turn the left leg out, right foot in, and come in, triangle. Okay, so again, let's just imagine here that you are leaning up against a wall. So both shoulders, move them both down away from your ears. Press that left big toe. Straighten out your left leg all the way. For some of us, even though we think it's straight, there's always a little more straight, as long as it's not hyper bending. Okay, turn your left sitting bone in the direction of your right heel. And pull, come all the way up. Take your hands to your hips, lean back, and come forward and down. Walk your hands forward. So this is very much like a downward facing dog in the upper body. Really lengthening and stretching forward. So we're going to try to get this feel for our next Trikonasana. Walk your hands back, come all the way back up. Step your feet together briefly. If you decided that you want blocks, go ahead and set them up. I'm going to do that. So let's step the legs wide. Face the long edge of your mat. Take your hands on your hips, pivot that right leg out. Kick the left heel back just a little bit further. Stretch the arms out wide. So let's go nice wide distance between the 2 feet. Reach through the fingertips. So in this position, let's get the 2 hips. Try to get the 2 hips on the same plane. So the 2 hip bones equidistant from the floor. So I'm going to go crease right here. Stretch the 2 arms. And then we're going to hinge forward over that right leg. So in Trikonasana, the 2 sides of the spine are equidistant. So meaning it's not a rounded shape like this. So trace in your body from the crown of your head to the tip of your tail and see if you can create a long, I don't want to say straight because the spine does have curves, but a straight-ish, how about that? Okay, so we just did all this work for the oblique muscles. So the top oblique muscle from your ribs to your hips, give that a little squeeze and see if that helps drop and lengthen and spread the bottom. Yeah, I saw that for several folks. The bottom part of your spine. Press back through your left foot and see if that has a recoil or rebounding effect up the front of your spine. Okay, so the head doesn't hang here, friends. It's really long. Lengthen the right side of your neck, your face, everything. That's right. And pull, come all the way up. Take your hands to your hips, pivot your feet, rest for a moment. Press the two outer feet down. And then stretch the arms out again. Turn your left leg out. Kick that right heel out. So again, let's see if we can get the pelvis vertical here. The crease right at the top of your right thigh. And hinge forward, Trikonasana. And draw the left shoulder away from your ear. Imagine leaning your back up against a wall. You know, sometimes we do this work back against the wall just to help feel, where are you in space? Press through the big toe mound, left foot. Squeeze that left buttock under. And then let's see if we can get both sides of the spine equidistant. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. That slight squeeze of the oblique muscles on top can help extract the rib cage, left side, from the pelvis. So it's left ribs long, left side of the spine long, left neck long. Reach up through the crown of your head, press the big toe mound, and pull, come all the way back up to stand. Turn your feet to parallel, step your feet together, reach the fingertips down, stand briefly in Tadasana. Sweep the arms out wide to the side, stretch your arms up, Utkatasana. Reach through the fingers. So let's press a little bit more weight back into the heels. So from the front of your kneecap, pull back. Settle your weight back into your heels. If this creates any knee pain, very often it means that somebody's thrusting the knees forward. Take your knees back, the front of the knee, take it back. Stretch the arms up. I'm in a hinge position. That's where I'd like you to be. Press your big toes down and straighten out your legs. Reach up and touch the sky. And forward bend, Uttanasana. And slide your hands up onto shins or blocks. Inhale, let's come into a halfway lift. And bend your knees. And stretch the arms back up to the sky, maybe Utkatasana a little bit lower. Remember to pull the kneecaps back. So lift up your arms strongly. And press into your heels and forward bend. Uttanasana. Slide your hands up onto your shins. Let's go back into that halfway lifted. I'm going to do this a couple more times, that halfway lifted position. So when I press back into my shins, I'm really trying to pull the waist longer and longer, the torso, the trunk, the spine, everything. And bend your knees and shoot the arms forward and upward. And Utkatasana maybe a little lower. And press your weight back into your heels and straighten out your legs. Come all the way back up and lower it down. So let's take those two blocks and we're going to sit on the two blocks. And walk the heels back, walk them close. And press your heels down. And straighten out your left leg. And raise up your right arm. And hook the inner right knee. So without letting the right side of your waist shrink, press down into your foot. Lift up your torso and turn. So the heel can be lifted. It does not need to be on the floor. Let's see if we can get both sides of the waist to turn. And then stretch your left arm back. You reach through the fingertips. Keep pressing your right elbow into your knee. Keep the knee vertical. and come all the way back. That looked good. Let's try the other side. Bend your left knee, straighten out your right. Raise up your right arm and hook. So right now my knee's going a little bit across the midline. And to press the knee back so it lines up with the hip. Lift up your torso, lift up your trunk, and turn your abdomen. And then stretch that left arm back again. So reach back. When you're reaching back, reach back all the way from your sternum. Stretch back through your arm. Okay, create a resistance of your knee into your arm into your knee. Pull down your left shoulder and really reach back through that left arm. Straighten out your elbow all the way. Left arm, reach back like you're going to try to touch that wall behind you. Reach and come on back. Good. So switch sides. So we're going to start with that open twist. So that means your left knee is going to be bent. And left elbow to the inside of the knee. Hook. And stretch the right arm back. So I'm saying stretch the right arm back, but it's really from the shoulder. So this hollow at the front of the right arm, see if you can get this hollow to fill up. So the whole spine, can you create a turning in the whole spine? And press down through the ball of your left foot and turn. Stretch back through your fingers. So inner edge, friends, of the right shoulder blade, peel it down. Float the head up. Good. And come out and switch legs. And hook left elbow to the outer right knee. And press down through your right foot. So it's fine to have the heel lifted. If that helps you get a better pressure, that's fine. Ball of the foot's heavy. And turn. And reach back through the right hand. Okay, so we're going to take this into a revolved triangle pose. So already here, like the triangle pose, notice, can you balance the left and right rib cage? Can you balance the left and right lift of the spine? Now stretch back through your right arm. Reach back. Let me see elbows straight. Firm the elbow, the tricep muscle, hug it right into the bone and stretch through your fingers, fingernails. And good. And 2 feet down. Okay. Keep your blocks where it is. So notice how low you are. And straighten out your legs. And stretch your arms up, hinge forward. So where are those blocks? Look for them. Where are they? And push off your feet, forward bend, Uttanasana, drop your head. Inhale, let's come into a halfway lift. Stretch the chest forward. Bend your knees, stretch your arms forward. Where are the blocks? Where are they? Oh my gosh, some people even touch down. Don't rest those. Straighten out your legs and forward bend to Uttanasana. Drop your head. Go passive in your neck and your head. And bend your knees. Stretch your arms forward. Last one. Utkatasana. Pull the knees back. Where are those blocks? And straighten out your legs. Really good. Okay. So let's take the blocks. We're going to set them up now for a revolved triangle pose. Step your right foot forward and your left foot back. Left toes, we're going to turn them in. The back toes, turn them in a lot. Take your hands to your hips, lean back, and plant your left heel in the floor. So if you're wobbly in revolved triangle, just prop your heel against a wall. It can give a whole bunch of stability there. Lift up your torso, lift up your trunk. And start to come forward. Stretch your left arm forward. Lengthen the left side. And take your left hand down to the outside of your foot. So that is if you're stable, go to the outside. If you're a little wobbly today, go to the inside. So this is a challenging pose to try to lengthen both sides of the spine equally, but we're going to do that. Okay, so the top, the sitting bone, right sitting bone, pull that right sitting bone back, away from your ear. Now draw your left shoulder down away from your ear. And turn the left side of your pubic bone towards your right foot. And the right side of your pubic bone towards your left foot. Reach back to the tip of your right elbow and turn your chest. And then maybe the arm goes up. If there's no shoulder issues, go for it. Straighten out your elbow. And let's get both sides of the neck equal length from the shoulders. Peel the shoulders down away from your ears. Stretch through the crown of your head. Let the breath go wild and free. Reach through the crown of the head. Okay, so now let's turn. If your balance is there, turn. Look up towards your top hand. Look with your left eye. And look down. Take your two hands down. Both hands on the block or both hands down on the floor. You choose. Press the big toe mound into the floor. And let's see if we can nudge right sitting bone back, even just a little further away from your head. Again, let's really visualize here both sides of the spine being equidistance. It's easier to find it here. And come on, add and switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back. And turn the right toes in a lot. So you can spin that inner right heel back and your right knee back. And lean back just a little bit. And stretch your right arm forward. And start the turn even as you're coming down. The turn for a revolved triangle. Okay, so left sitting bone, draw it back. If we don't do that, then the left side of the trunk gets really short. Draw it back as you turn. Keep your block very close to your foot or your hand very close to your foot and rotate. Okay, stabilize that back leg. Straighten your right leg all the way. So turn, hand can stay on the hip or you can stretch your arm up. Both shoulder blades down away from the ears. Reach up through your fingertips, try to touch the sky there. And then maybe, if the balance is steady, maybe look up towards that top arm with your right eye. Keep stretching it up, reach it up, lengthen it up, go for it. And come down. Two hands down. And forward bend. Step your feet together. So we're going to do one more round of that. I'll speed it up a little bit, I promise. So right foot forward, left foot back, lean back. Then stretch the right arm forward as you're entering so we can get that left arm forward so we can get the left side waist long. And take your hand down. So if you were using blocks on the higher side, maybe take them down a notch. And start to rotate your chest. Roll your left ribs under your right ribs. And stretch up through the top arm. Really stretch up like you're going to try to touch the sky. Let's get the legs straight and the arms straight. Reach through the crown of the head. Now visualize your whole spine from the tip of your tail to the crown of your head. Can you pull that whole spine longer? And look down. Forward bend over your right leg. And pivot your left leg up towards the ceiling. Bend your right knee. So when I bend my right knee, I can feel it touch my torso. Bend your right knee a lot until it touches your torso. And then raise up your left leg. And maybe straighten out your right leg. You don't have to though. If right leg needs to stay bent, that's fine. Press through the big toe mound of your right foot and maybe straighten out your leg. And reach up through that top leg. And try to touch your toes to the ceiling. Reach up through the leg. And lower your 2 feet. And switch sides. And step your left foot forward, your right foot back. And hinge forward, reach forward with that right arm. So let's make as much space as we can through this diagonal. Left sitting bone, right arm, stretch them away. And then we'll hook. Okay, so already here, that right waist. Can you take that right waist any degree longer as you roll the right waist under, the left waist over. The right ribs under, left ribs over. Maybe that top arm goes up. And reach it straight up, as if you're being held from above. Now the sides of the neck, let's try to get the sides of the neck on the same plane by pulling the shoulders away from the ears and lengthening from your right earlobe. Lengthen it away from your shoulder. And look down, forward. Forward bend, Parsvottanasana over your leg. So turn now, your right ribs towards that left leg. Keep squeezing in the hip. We don't want it to go off to the side. Squeeze it in, and then bend your knee. Hang out for just a moment. So try to get your whole rib cage equally on so that your knees touching your sternum are very close. Bend your knee. And then step that right foot in. Raise up your right leg. Drop your head. Look back towards your shin. And maybe straighten left leg. Drop your head. So at some point the leg will probably leave your chest unless you're extremely mobile. And that's fine if you're straightening your leg. Now press through the big toe mound, press the root of your left foot, and see if you can lift that right leg up a little higher. Little higher. And lower down. And come down to a seat. So please use some support underneath your hips. It can be a little support like a blanket or a lot. A bolster, even more than a bolster. So I've got a blanket, I've just got it folded so it's about 2-3 inches thick. For Upavista Konasana, wide legs. Have your strap close by. Take your 2 hands behind your hips. Press your feet down. Lift up the side of your trunk. So imagine that you've got some weight so that the buttock bones are being drawn down as you come forward. Upavista Konasana. So lift from your outer foot to your outer pinky toe. Reach from your calf to your heel and slide those heels away. And forward bend any amount. Just invite your breath into the places where you feel the tightness, the stiffness. You're welcome to do this with head support. I see some folks choosing that route. There's the back of the buttock. Roll the back of the buttock slightly down. Spread your lower abdomen. And walk your 2 hands back. Take your 2 hands on either side of your right leg. Keep lengthening out through that left leg. Rotate your left ribs towards that right leg. So use your right hand to move your right ribs away from your leg as your left ribs come closer to your legs. We can walk the hands out, but keep your hands on the floor for this go. So left ribs, turn the left ribs down towards your right leg. Right hand, press it down, lift the right ribs. And keep the mind, the awareness, the presence reaching out through that left leg. And come back through center. So both legs, charge both legs, and then turn towards your left leg. So when I say turn, I'm really trying to wrap from the spine to the right ribs and forward to the inner left leg. Your left hand, use your left hand to the outside of your leg to help you lift up the left ribs so they don't come forward and down. Left ribs need to lift up and back. So don't compress here. Instead, keep that lengthening. And turn. And come on back to center and take hold of your knees, your inner knees. Bring your 2 feet together into a Baddha Konasana. Okay, so we're going to rock the right knee down to the floor. And then use your right hand to hold your knee down on the floor as close as you can. So I've actually rocked myself down, much heavier on that. You'll be heavier on your right side, heavier on the right side. And then I'm going to stretch my left knee from the groin. You stretch your left knee back towards the floor. So my hand is just pinning down the right knee, and I'm going to stretch that left knee back and down. So I'm off center from in the pelvis. Good. Come back to center. And then let's go second side. Lean down into your left knee. Just let that right side lift up. It's good. So I've rocked myself all the way. Right. Your left sitting bone's going to get much heavier. That's great. And then hold the knee down and reach back and down through the right leg. I'm reaching it toward the floor. By contracting from the outer right knee to the right hip to reach it down. And come back to center. Hold on to your feet. Open up your feet. Stretch both groins to the knee, outer knee to the outer hip. Good. And stretch out your legs. So let's take that strap now. You can move your support off to the side. Take your strap and put your strap around your feet. Okay, so I'm going to start with my knees parted, the knees up toward the ceiling. I'll hold the strap and lift up. So I'm going to go from this rounded shape to pulling back and lifting the chest as I start to straighten my legs. Pull back and lift. Draw your outer arm back to that outer shoulder blade. Take your outer shoulder blade further back, away from your feet, than your inner shoulder blade. Inner shoulder blade, draw it forward towards your feet. Lift your chest up, your torso up. So you can have your hands way out here. It's okay, but let's keep working. We're pulling back. It's kind of a water skiing action. Pull back so that you can lean back and lift up your chest. Lovely. And touch your feet to the floor. It's the same thing now with the feet wide. I've got my feet wide, my knees wide. And I hang on close to the foot. Lean back. There's the balance. And then I'm going to stretch up. And lovely. And touch down. Take your feet wider. Take your heels wider. Kick your heels wider until your outer foot points up toward the ceiling, up to the pinky. And pull back on the strap. And then let's see about balance here. Lift up your feet. Stretch out your legs. Kick your outer foot out into that strap. Now pull back, outer arm to outer shoulder blade, and see if you can lift up the front of your body. Lift up your chin slightly. Reach up to the crown of your head. Nice rocking and rolling there. It happens sometimes. And come on down. So if you have a long strap, the last Upavista Konasana that we'll do is with this long strap. If your strap isn't long enough, you can hold on to your ankles. So press out into your feet, hold on to that strap. Spread the back of your leg and pull back with the strap. So in this position, sometimes people think that if they get their nose to the floor, that's going to be the biggest opening of the groin, but that's more of an opening of the back. Okay, the opening, the deeper opening of the inner thigh adductor can really come when we roll the pelvis forward. So when the pelvis starts to roll forward, and don't overdo that if you're flexible, but when the pelvis starts to roll forward, so I'm not back like this, I'm rolling it forward, and I can press through the inner foot and get a big opening there. And maybe come forward, keep the pelvis moving forward, the sacrum moving forward. If you can reach ankles, you can go for ankles. You could also reach big toes, catch hold. Come even further forward, very fine. Good, keep the spine long, try not to round. Beautiful. And come on all the way back up, release. So let's do a supported back bend. I'm going to show today on a rolled up blanket. You can do this on your 2 blocks. Sometimes we do that variation. This rolled up blanket is nice. So if you have a bolster, go for it. So the edge of the blanket, you don't want that to be pokey. So it's a lift and tuck of the buttock towards the heels and then lengthen. So I'm lowering down each vertebra right along that roll. And this gives an opportunity to really be precise in your placement of your body. Okay, so once I've got I'm all the way down, then I'm going to lift up my hips and stretch the buttock toward the heels. And I'm just making sure I'm on the back of my head, each vertebra placed right on that roll. And then stretch out your legs, have your feet wider than your mat if you're on the little roll, like I am. And then let's tuck the shoulders under and turn the hands palms up. Again, hands pretty far away from your trunk. And several people are working with the block. The block goes underneath the bottom tip of your shoulder blade and underneath your head. Create this spreading through the front of the body just by relaxing and releasing into the back of the body. Let go of all of your efforts here. Drop, release your weight. The weight of your head, the weight of your back line. So whatever props you've decided to use, take a deep breath down into the support and drop your weight a little bit more. So you inhale down, and you exhale, just release it. Rest and release over that prop. Each exhalation, settle just a little deeper. If you're working with the roll, sometimes the right side might relax a little bit quicker, or the left side. So you place yourself carefully, just stay there, let the two sides catch up with each other. And work with your breath to unwind any tension along your back, any resistance with that roll or the blocks. Breathe down into the support spread and drop. Meet the support with your awareness. So this is the first day of our second week. Nice work. Consistency gradually makes things so much easier, especially when we're doing more of a daily practice. Many of you guys are doing. And take it about 3 more breaths. Each breath drop. Fully supported by the ground, fully supported by that prop. Just drop into it. And good. So carefully bend your knees. If you're on the roll, it's easy to roll off to one side. If you're using the blocks, push through your elbows. We're just going to take the prop away and then lie right back down onto your back for a Shavasana. Make sure you're warm. Yeah, using a bolster underneath the knees, good idea. Any prop usage. So after you've taken out the prop from your back, just feel the neutral position, the floor. Encourage your body to spread on the floor, the whole back line, everything that's in contact to the floor. Let the effort from our sequence today just release and spread.